Once again, it's time for the Team Lift podcast with your hosts, Brandon Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Let's go ahead and get right into the show. What's up, everybody? This is Roderick coming in with you guys today. I'm joined in the studio by my favorite grouchiest man in the world, my homeboy, Mr. Brandon Bowie. What's up, Brandon?
What's up, everybody?
All right, man. And today we are joined by a guest. I guess we can call you a documentary filmmaker now.
Or something like that.
Okay, so professionally unemployed. That's what we call comedians.
No, I wouldn't even say professionally.
Okay. All right. So today we have Mr. Reid Griffin joining us here today in the dungeon. And Reid, I know you're new to the show. We've known each other for years, but just your first time on the show with us. We are going to get into some crazy geek culture stuff. Just kind of want you to jump in with us. But before we do that, we got to talk about something that happened to Brandon and I. A lot of you guys have been listening. You know that we've been doing this podcast now. This is going to be issue 12.
Yeah.
And so actually, if we say it's issue 12, but this is actually our 14th podcast together.
Yeah.
Because we did those Comic-Con specials. And it was cool. We got invited to go do another very popular podcast that you can find on iTunes. It's called The Smell of Music. It is hosted by a buddy of mine named Jeff Wyrick. And, man, they are an amazingly funny group. And basically, The Smell of Music, as they say, is a journey to finding the very worst music in our universe. And we got to go on there and do a really awesome episode with those guys. I don't think we'll ever forget our time with that episode. It was episode 29?
I think so.
I think it was episode 29 that we're on. I'll have to double check that, but you can definitely find them on iTunes. If you're listening to podcasts, you want to listen to The Smell of Music. Brandon and I joined them, and we listened to one of the world's greatest Christian concept albums on conception, on conceiving a kid. Yeah, so it's like he couldn't have a kid, and he made a concept album, and the concept album was about their struggles in not having a kid, and it was supposed to help people who had problems conceiving.
I can't even.
It was like R. Kelly, but without like pissing on underage girls and all the sex. It was a conception album, like R. Kelly for the bedroom for the saved. I'm not a fan, but it was a terrible album. It was terrible, but we had a blast on the show, and so you guys go check that out. So, with that out the way, let's get into it. Man, we got some stuff to discuss this week, man. Reid, did you ever watch He-Man? Are you familiar with the He-Man cartoon and the movie?
Roughly, but not like it was something huge or anything. It was kind of there. I just kind of saw it,
I think it was more my generation.
I had every motherfucking He-Man toy ever, and I still have actually in my bedroom some of the graphic novel books that they put out.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were big on this whole He-Man
They're
thing.
almost in mint condition.
See, I went and grew up with it after school. It was still an after-school cartoon when I was a kid. So
I went and saw the movie with Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah,
it's the best.
So you're a He-Man fan?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this news is definitely going to be up your alley. Comic-Con, we kind of found out that they teased it at this last Comic-Con. I think it was on like July 20th. They are rebooting the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon. So now originally that ran from 83 to 85, and like I think we've all seen the Skeletor memes now online where like the greatest exit ever is where he walks through the mirror and punches it. And like he might as well just flip you off when he runs through the mirror. It is just like, that is the greatest meme, man. But they are really talking about they're going to reboot this whole thing. Let's see. They
had a special screening.
Was it the Curse of the Three Terrors?
Mm-hmm.
That was the name of it, right?
Yeah.
Now, I want to say it was Skeletor and Beastman were in this episode or something. It was crazy. Now, wait a minute.
There's a trailer up.
There is a trailer up. So there is actually a trailer for this on YouTube.
Supposedly, from what this article says, that it was actually already released. Because it says it was free and available publicly on Wednesday, July 20th at 10 p.m. in downtown San Diego. And then that later it was going to be released to the general public.
Okay, cool. So we need to find this and we need to try to check it out.
Yeah.
Now, here's what kills me. Did you read this about, like, the director, McG? and Kellen Lutz from the Twilight, they're talking about rebooting the movie. They're talking about making a new live action movie.
They should.
You really agree with that?
They should get Dolph Lundgren to come back too.
What's he gonna do? Play the king of like He-Man's dad?
Do age him appropriately and do another adventure like they were gonna do with Conan. Mm-hmm.
So you want to see old He-Man?
Yeah, I want to see like old grizzled He-Man who's been ruling Eternia for like 20 or 30 years.
Who would you cast as She-Ra?
I don't know.
I don't know about you anymore. I really don't even know you as a person anymore. I really don't.
It would be awesome.
Man, no, it's what's the opposite of awesome?
Awesome.
No, the opposite of awesome, because that's what that sounds like you're
not
trying to
opposite.
make.
No, it would be amazing.
No. This is one of those where we're going to have to just say, you enjoy that. Because to me, it sounds like Superman versus Batman.
No.
Yeah.
Nothing could be that bad.
Well, I don't know about like straight up just reboots of anything. I mean, if you notice, like a lot of the reboots they do, it just kind of seems like the hype is there and then it just dies.
It never
just terrible.
pays off.
Yeah,
like
it's like
Batman versus Superman.
As his, I don't know if you noticed, but we have a saying around here. It's called a Brandonism. Now, Brandon's description of Batman versus Superman over several episodes of our podcast has been, it was 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. That's pretty much when somebody says, we're rebooting He-Man, I'm going to get my 5-pound bag.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you look at, what was that movie they came out with?
Jim and the Holograms was terrible.
Well, I mean, like, look at, I mean, it's kind of based the same way with, like, movies that go after video games. Max Payne, I love that series. Playing it, the storyline was amazing to me. Mm-hmm. But when they came out with the movie, I was like, yes, for the love of God, yes. And they ruined my favorite series. I mean, absolutely. They didn't even follow the storyline. They followed, like, part of it, and then they made their own. They're like, oh, Mark Wahlberg, we're going to make you look awesome. You're going to be this. And then they started mixing in the second storyline into it at the same time, and they put this weird spin on it. I was just like, what in the hell is going on?
Yeah, never mind.
It ruined it for me. I can't even watch it, but I love that series in the game. But
no, I can't. No, you can have that, dude. I hate every time. What happens to me is every movie, every cartoon series that I grew up with as a kid is being remade. So Disney does it right. Disney says, hey, we're going to take all our old shit and make it into live action films. Now, they've done right by Alice in Wonderland, The Jungle Book. We got Pete's Dragon coming next.
Well, yeah, they're talking about Beauty and the Beast. I was seeing.
Oh yeah, there is a live action Beauty
is,
and the Beast that's coming. That's done. That is happening.
I already have a TV show about that.
About Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, a live action television show, Beauty and the Beast in the 80s.
I thought you were talking about How I Met Your Mother, because that lead dude was ugly. But I didn't know what you were talking about. I was like, I guess you could say that. But no. But no, I mean, they seem to do it right. But then I remember Battleship, which I don't know who signed off on that to be a film.
They're going to make fucking Tetris into a trilogy. Tetris
yes.
into a trilogy. It's going to be its own world and live action Tetris trilogy property.
First of all,
I'm okay with this.
These are the people we need to build a wall against. Like, Donald Trump needs to build that wall. Let's, like, whoever comes up with these movies, let's build a wall and wall them off from society.
We can build it out of Tetris blocks, too. They can fall from the sky and just land.
I do kind of like that idea. Okay. That is the movie. We wall off the crazy people. Because Battleship should have never been a movie. Jim and the Hologram should have never been a movie. Tetris, that's just sounding terrible.
Speaking of Dolph Lundgren, he was in Kindergarten Cop 2, which was only theatrically released in France and is now available on Blu-ray and DVD.
I saw the trailer for it.
Oh, God.
With Bill Bellamy.
Yeah.
I have never been so disgusted by a trailer in my life. Like, I would have rather watched a cross burning at a Klan rally for 3 minutes than to watch that trailer again.
At least that would have been entertaining.
Yes. Because there's always the hope one of them will catch on fire. There's always that hope when I see a cross burning. One of them's going to catch on fire and I'm going to get to giggle wrongly. But that was the worst trailer I have ever seen for a movie. No, it's up in my top 5 worst trailers.
So this He-Man thing, it looks like it's available now as of August 1st on iTunes and Google Play.
So tomorrow,
Yeah,
are you gonna get it?
probably.
We'll have a watching party on your money. Then. I want to see it after you get it. I want to see what it's like. All right, let's get on. Keep it moving. Now we're jumping back into the stuff that I know you love, the CW.
Yeah.
And the only two letters that people will need to know this fall are CW and DC. Because the CW now has 4 nights worth of DC superhero TV shows. Is it 4 nights? Now we got Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl.
Yeah.
And during some of the days of Comic-Con, it got pointed out that Supergirl was going to be the focus of Flash, Arrow, and Legends crossovers.
So there's going to be 4 episodes.
Right.
And each episode is going to, of all 4 episodes, are going to happen on each show. Mm-hmm. But they're all going to be interconnected. And it's going to be about bringing Supergirl into the main CW universe. Because Supergirl, right now, as she exists, is technically on a different Earth from Barry and from Oliver Queen and everybody else. Mm-hmm. So the quote is, "It's an external threat from outside the show that will involve Supergirl coming over to the Flash, then Arrow, then Legends of Tomorrow." So I'm hoping they permanently bridge that gap so that they can have her in the main continuity, which will be really nice. Because right now, the only way that they can get to her is by Barry, like, jumping from one reality to another by running really fast, which is what Barry Allen does, but...
This is going to be interesting. So let's look. So it looks like the new fall schedule is going to be Supergirl on Monday, Flash on Tuesdays, Arrow on Wednesdays, and Legends of Tomorrow on Thursdays. Mm-hmm. If they could just get a Batman show on Friday nights,
Yep.
that would be the greatest domination of TV from 7 to 8.
Yeah.
They'd lock it up. Man, I don't know. They got to figure out something out. They're still, I thought we were going to, you and I talked about this a couple episodes back. They'd been working on this deal that, Fox and all of them are trying to work out something with Gotham, or to have another Batman show or some Batman characters show up on
Yeah, it was
Supergirl.
Batman and Batwoman and Oracle.
Yeah,
What they
so
were trying for, but
they're still trying to
it.
work out details on that. Still no word. We thought we'd get something out of Comic-Con. They didn't come back with that one yet, but at least we know what we got. Now, it looks like the Flash Season 3 is going to premiere on October 4th. Mm-hmm. Let's go down. Let's see what else we got. Then we got Arrow Season 5. That's in its 5th season?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Although
October
we don't count
5th.
the 4th season because it was terrible.
All right, yeah. And then Supergirl Season 2, October 10th. And then Legends of Tomorrow will be October 13th. We definitely need to get that up on the page so everybody can keep track of that. But it does look like the 4th, the 5th, the 10th, and the 13th are only dates that you need to remember in October outside of Halloween. Okay, great. Now, we also got some news that a second Justice League character is going to appear in the new Suicide Squad movie that's coming here in a few days. Suicide Squad. Have you really thought about it that we're maybe, a week out now from this movie?
Yeah. We're a week out from my birthday, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to get it, and they announced that the new character is the Flash. So it'll be the Ezra Miller Flash from the Justice League trailer, which we just discussed that on our DC special. I actually kind of like Ezra Miller's the Flash character. From the trailer, he looks like he's going to be an entertaining kid in the role. I much prefer TV version Flash and wanted him to end up in the film, but they just didn't want to listen to me on that one. But it does look like the Flash will be joining Ben Affleck as Batman in the Suicide Squad movie.
I think he's just going to be like a thing where he's like on and off, like a walk-on, not really have any kind of big impact on the whole thing.
I don't think. I think he's just a cameo at the most. We're going to see a cameo because I do believe what we have. Captain Boomerang is part of the Suicide Squad. Captain Boomerang was one of the Flash's rogue villains. One of his rogue gallery. So I can see where we can see the Flash catching him and maybe putting him in Bel Air or Belle Reeve's prison. Yeah, that's probably going to be about the extent of the cameo. I don't see him playing a massive role in this film at all. But it'll be neat that he's there. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he could put him in Bel Air. He could like run him back to the 90s and put him on that show with Will Smith. That would be torture.
So after Uncle Phil died, the Fresh Prince became Deadshot.
It's all connected.
In Bel Air, I got my heart broke. I started killing folk. That'll be the new Will Smith track. We'll finally get a gangster track out of him. Man, also, this came out this week. The smartest person in the Marvel Universe is a 9-year-old black girl. That has now been, and that's official Marvel canon now.
Yeah.
She is now the smartest person in the Marvel Universe. Now, this blew me away because they kind of were talking about 9,000 plus character universe, and there are 8 unaided contenders in the primary fictional canon, and they're all male and mostly white. Genius, Reed Richards, Bruce Banner, Peter Parker, Tony Stark. So, I mean, we know who the big guns are when it comes to the brain power. Now, the only black male that I remember that we talk about that was strength level, intelligence level was Blue Marvel.
Blue Marvel, yeah.
But now Lynella Lafayette, who, if you're not reading this comic book, and a lot of people have told me this is a great book, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur or something? What's the name of this comic book she's in, man? We got to get this. I got to get into this comic book, man. I really have to start reading this because supposedly Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which reboots the Devil Dinosaur stories from the 1970s, the series takes place in modern-day New York City, and Lafayette replaces the red Tyrannosaurus Rex original caveman pal, Moon Boy. So Moon Girl ends up with a dinosaur that she transplanted to modern-day New York City, and they go around fighting crime and having adventures.
That's what we need is a hyper-intelligent 9-year-old with a fucking 30-foot dinosaur.
You know what? I would write her on her Twitter page, and I'm not saying I would ask her to hurt our presidential candidates. I would ask her to hurt our presidential candidates. I'm just saying. We might have more fun. She might could get my vote if she ran at this point. She has a dinosaur. She's smart. Let's give her a shot. So, yeah, no, I'm definitely kind of seeing this whole thing. We're going to see where that goes. Let's get into some PC news. Reed, in your documentary film, you work with Windows?
Yeah, sadly.
So you're not a fan of Windows?
Man, I'm trying to avoid Windows 10 as much as possible. A lot of people are saying it's cool. I'm hesitant, I guess. But like my system requirements, I'm not running like a high-end computer or anything. So what I run, I can run. And I'm afraid if I switch over to 10, I'm just going to lose a lot of ability to use older programs that I use.
Yeah.
So for me, it's kind of like, well, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I don't know. I was running XP for a long time, like up until till Windows 7 came out. I was running XP for a long time. Windows 95, I remember when that came out, that stuck around for a while.
I think we've all had horror stories. Like I did Millennium Edition at one job, which was god awful. Okay,
Windows Mistake Edition.
That's what it should have been called. It should have been called. And I loved XP. I had XP on a personal computer all the way up to Service Pack 3. I stayed with it long after everybody had moved on from XP. So it's kind of neat. Now, one of the things we've been talking about on the show is Windows and Microsoft. Brandon considers them to maybe be in collusion with the devil. Let's just say that. That's the best way to say it. He hates them as a company. I don't knock him for hating them as a company because they've done some fuckery in the last month. Now, we've already talked about
it ain't just the last month. It's like over the course of the lifetime of the company.
Over the course of
I could tell you some stories about some bullshit they did in the 90s that was terrible.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the recent bullshit because we do have one lawsuit where a lady had her computer ruined and she lost money, and she won the lawsuit based on Windows 10. It basically tricked her into upgrading. Now, we kind of have covered some things here about that, and one of the things that we're going to get into now is that Windows now says you can't turn off Cortana in the Windows 10 anniversary update.
Yeah, so the update that came out on the 29th, which was the last day that you could actually get Windows 10 for free.
Right.
They've decided that now you cannot turn Cortana off at all. All you can do is basically like blind and deafen her, which sucks because I don't want Cortana running. I don't need Cortana running. It's just an attempt by Microsoft, a ham-fisted attempt to get them to use their services so that they can collect even more data about you using the operating system.
What is Cortana? I guess I've never really heard of it.
Cortana, have you heard like Google Now or Siri?
Yeah.
Cortana is Microsoft's version of it.
They're
man. Using the name Cortana from the Halo series to try to, put a positive spin on it. But it's basically just data collection that they can do on your desktop machine. You can listen to your microphone if you want to issue it commands with your voice. You can use it as a search function in Windows. You can use it to search stuff on the web. It'll also bother you with things like advertisements and stuff that's based on stuff that you use on your computer. So it's shady shit.
But she also stores everything she records about you into the cloud.
Yeah, on the Microsoft's cloud side of things.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. I mean, simply for the fact of, I don't like all the data concerns with it and privacy. I don't like that. But from doing music on my computer, like recording, editing video, all that kind of stuff, it sucks because it's like, I have extra stuff running in the background and I don't have the greatest amount of RAM as there is anyways. So, I mean, let's just take up more stuff on my computer that I don't need. That's just going to slow stuff down. When I go through and do music, I turn every single thing off.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, no, this is going to definitely get real interesting real quick. And I think we're going to talk about some more lawsuits. I've been hearing some stuff. There's some more lawsuits coming, right?
Yeah, there was another lawsuit. Let's see if we can find it here.
I know.
Basically, Microsoft is being sued again by two other entities. I think this was actually supposed to be the story, but it's been removed.
Yeah, so I think you're right. But we've been hearing that there were like 2 new lawsuits over aggressive Windows 10 upgrade tactics. And I can go ahead and get into it. What it is that the first suit was filed in the U.S. District Court in Florida. Mm-hmm. It alleges that Microsoft Windows 10 upgrades violated laws governing unsolicited electronic advertisements, as reported by the Seattle Times. The suit also says Microsoft tactics are against the Federal Trade Commission's rules on deceptive and unfair practices. Now, we kind of knew that from the first lawsuit that this was going to open up a door because, Reid, on a computer, if you're using Windows, if I click on the X, that means I don't want to be bothered with it.
Yeah.
At one point, when you clicked on the X, Microsoft said clicking on the X meant you agreed, and it automatically did the upgrade to Windows 10.
I just let them disappear sometimes just because they're not in my way, so I just leave them alone.
So yeah,
I'm afraid to click on it, whatever it is. Most of the time, I'm like, I understand that you're trying to find device material, but I don't want to mess with you. I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, well, they did this forced upgrade to several people, and the next thing we know, the forced upgrades ruined people's systems. Okay, so these lawsuits, we kind of knew when the first lawsuit went through what was going to happen. First lawsuit's gone through. Looks like it was successful. She didn't make a lot of money. What was it like?
$10,000.
$10,000. And a drop in the bucket.
That's it.
She got $10,000.
She get to buy a new system, and then she got some pain and suffering shit.
For lost wages whatever she did at work involved her computer. She worked from home, so $10,000. She made what she lost and a little extra.
No,
but that's all she got was $10,000.
Dude, for them that's nothing. I mean, that's just like, oh look, this guy over here has been screwing up. You don't get a bonus this year. You're going to pay for this lady. That's all that is. I mean,
yeah.
To them, that's nothing. I mean, Microsoft has their hand in everything, it seems like. So, I mean, $10,000's that's nothing.
It really isn't. I mean, $10,000 is not going to be a lot. But the fact that those lawsuits are starting now, we said we were going to keep up on that story, and it's true. We are definitely still tracking this one. Now, it's they did go back and say, okay, yeah, if you click the X, that doesn't mean you agree to upgrade. They did change that after her lawsuit was successful. I think they knew then that we're going to lose more lawsuits. But it seems now 2 more have jumped up, and these are already in the U.S. Circuit Courts. I don't think this is the end of the Windows 10 headache for them. I think it's really the very beginning of what we're about to see when it comes to that.
Yeah.
because that's going to be some craziness. We definitely are going to be tracking this over the next couple of months. We'll just kind of, I've already kind of marked that whole story. I'm just going to watch that, try to see if we can get more information on that court appeal and what Microsoft's going to say, because they got to handle this the correct way.
Oh yeah.
If they don't, this is going to get out of control.
Yeah, it's going to be a PR nightmare. I mean, it kind of goes back a little bit to what you guys were talking about on one of your last podcasts about the like being able to branch across from different platforms, be able to play games with each other. And stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Shadowrun attempted that back with the 360, and that kind of was like an unfair advantage for some people, it seemed like. But I mean, that's kind of the way I see that they're going with. They're just trying to push Windows 10 for some
Windows
of the gamers.
10 is going to be their end-all be-all platform, at least until 2020, I believe, is when they're going to switch to a new version of Windows. But they're spreading Windows 10 across the desktop, across their tablet and phones, and then they're also putting it on the Xbox.
Yeah.
And so within that ecosystem, they're going to create this thing that's called Universal Windows Apps that are only going to be able to be sold through the Windows Store. And if you buy a Windows Store app game, you can play it on any platform that has the right specifications to be able to launch that application. So, you know, they've already released Tomb Raider, the second Tomb Raider as a UWP app, which means if you buy it on the Windows Store, you can play it on your Xbox, you can play it on your Windows machine. Tim Sweeney from Epic, he's actually come out recently, like within the last couple of days, and said that he believes Microsoft's ultimate plan is to completely phase out Win32 and break it so badly that it breaks Steam, so that they can break Valve's hold on being the number one purveyor of games on the PC platform, and force everybody to use the Windows Store and use Windows UWP apps. So, I don't disagree. I think that that's where they're headed with it. They want to make it so that everybody has to use their store to make Microsoft more money, because it's in their interest to make more money off of their platform if they possibly can.
Well, you know, we were just talking about Microsoft before we started doing the podcast. You and I had back in 2014, 2015, when they were going through their big change up and they brought in the new guy, and the board of directors voted whether they wanted to even continue in home consoles, because they're losing money. And the Xbox One, although it's doing well in the market now, still was losing. It was being outsold at almost at one point it was a 4-to-1, and then it came down to a 2-to-1. So for every one Xbox One sold, 2 PS4s were sold. It was a crazy number of systems that were being sold at that time. And they seem to have righted the ship. You know, they're coming out with a new system. They're starting to pick up some, as we say, some steam. And they're already talking about going to their new system. We know the Scorpion or Scorpio, whatever it's going to be, is coming in the future. We also know that the new smaller version, the S, is going to be launching, I think, in 2017. So it looks like
I thought that was launching sooner than that. I thought it was launching.
You know what? It may be, because
October,
in the
November.
Gears of War edition of S,
Yeah.
I think so. It may be this Christmas.
Yeah, I think it's going to be this Christmas.
I think we may see that one in December in the store. So we're going to see some stuff they're trying to right the ship that is Microsoft. But when that whole thing was going on and they were trying to wrest control, a lot of stuff got leaked to the public. And one of the things that got leaked is that these guys are losing money. Mm-hmm. And no corporation is in the business to lose money. These guys are here to make money. Great products and video games aside, if we're losing money on it, we will ditch it as quickly as possible. And so I think this is going to be really interesting. But these lawsuits are not helping them to garner that public sympathy, if that's what you're going to do. All right, so let's keep it moving while we're on this PC news. Bro, what is going on with NVIDIA?
They just released a new graphics card, or at least they told everybody they're releasing a new graphics card. They have a structure whereby they have the 50, the 60, the 70, the 80 Ti, and then the Titan. That's their release structure.
Right.
So if you go from the 950 all the way up to the Titan, you're going from least powerful to most powerful, and they're usually all based on the same chipset. Well, the GP 100 chip is their commercial deep learning, like this is going to power autonomous vehicles type of chip.
Right.
Then they took that chip and they made the 1070 and the 1080. So the 1070 and the 1080 are your mid-range graphics cards. And then AMD released the RX 480, which is a low-cost, high-power graphics card. It's about the equivalent of a 970, which is the previous generation of NVIDIA cards. And so NVIDIA released the 1060 to compete with that. And now, because NVIDIA likes to keep the speed crown at all times, they released this GP102-based Titan X, which is a slightly modified version of the one that they released for commercial businesses for artificial intelligence and deep learning. It doesn't use high bandwidth memory, which is what we've all wanted from this. The 100 chipset does use high bandwidth memory, but this one doesn't. But it's the current fastest GPU on the planet, according to the specs.
Yeah, so I read something about this, and NVIDIA claims like it will have, make sure I got this, 480 gigabit a second of bandwidth?
Yeah, memory bandwidth.
480 gig.
Yeah. It's going to have a peak compute of 11 teraflops. The 1080 is 8.2, and the 1070, the 1080 is 8.2, and then the 980 Ti is 5.6, and then the Titan X. So the new Titan that they released is called the Titan X, and the old Titan that they had before is called the Titan X. The old Titan X is 6.14 teraflops.
So they nearly doubled it almost.
Yeah, it's a beast of a card, but it's going to cost $1,200.
Yeah, no, when you come with a beast of a card, you're going to come with a beast of a price tag.
I think the Titan X realistically isn't for consumers. This is more of a universities doing research kind of card, because it's going to have GPU capability, which is like floating point precision, double floating point precision. Whenever you're going in and doing calculations, you want to make sure that they're exact. It's going to have that exact compute capability available to it. So universities are going to buy it. Some really high-end PC users who have the money to burn are going to buy it. Like a Terry Crews is going to buy this card if he wants it.
Terry Crews is running an amazing rig, and we've been talking about him lately.
Yeah.
But even, I don't know if Terry Crews is ready for this card, okay?
No.
Now, speaking about him, Terry's got the computer up. We've been watching it from Reddit. And now Terry and the whole family are playing the HTC Vive, right?
Yeah. So they completed the PC a few days ago, I think. And then a few days after that, they got the Vive up and running, and they were playing with the Vive, which I thought was really awesome.
And he's got a video on his YouTube channel of that, him and his son playing the Vive.
I think his son was playing Job Simulator.
Which,
he's playing Job Simulator.
You know, fun game, great. But we've been hearing some craziness. Like, a lot of people didn't know this. Reid, I don't know if you know, Terry Crews. We know him as the Spice deodorant guy. We know him from the Expendables.
Yeah.
He went on to Reddit and their PC Master Race subreddit, and he did a video about, hey, it was on his Facebook channel. It was everywhere.
It was live video that went out to Facebook that was then picked up by the guys at PC Master Race, and it's just become a thing. It's fucking awesome.
He is the face of PC Master Race right now. It's like the first major celebrity who really talks shop, like geek shop talk, when it comes to building his PC. And he built this really amazing rig, and he asked, like, once it went big, he started coming on the Reddit, and he would be in the rooms asking people, hey, should I go with this card or should I go with this card? What are the perks? So PC players jumped all over this. I mean, Brandon being one of those players, Brandon spent more time in Reddit talking to Terry Crews than I will talk to Terry Crews in my life. Brandon got really big on that, and he had a blast with it, and he always updated us on what was going on with the build and what he was doing. So, I mean, shouts out to Terry, man, and to kind of see him and the family, after he built it, for him to come back in and then share it with the family. Hey, this is the games we're playing. This is the rig. I think that's been neat, and it's really he's already got 130,000 plus views on that video on his YouTube channel, and it's only been up a few days of them playing the Vive, and that's all the video is nothing more than him playing the Vive with his son. Oh, I'm sorry, 153,000 plus views.
Yeah, he also he'd originally bought two 1080s because he was going to do SLI, but then talking with the community, he now understands that dual 1080s really isn't going to help him all that much because dual cards introduce latency into the frame buffer, which can lead to frame rate drops and stuff like that, which is what you don't want when you're playing in VR.
Right.
So he's talking about building another system around that other 1080, which would be cool.
Oh my gosh, he's going to do another system.
Yeah. So next up is HTC is going to be partnering with HP to release Vive branded PCs that come with the headset. So we're talking like you can go into the store and buy a complete VR system from an actual computer vendor. All of it bundled together. You don't have to do anything.
Now, if you guys have been listening to the show, and I'm going all the way back to what maybe our second or third issue of this show. One of the things that you and I talked about, we've done this several times. You've been trying to convince me to become part of the PC gaming community. I've been fighting a good, valiant fight. I have avoided it so far, but I am losing the battle. I promise you, I'm losing it daily. But you had already built a rig for me. Let's say he sent me a PC picker. I think you went to PCPartPicker.com.
Yeah.
And you built a rig for me. We were looking at what I think just for the tower.
For the tower with everything, including the video card, we were going to use an RX 480. It was it's like $756 total.
I think you had me, yeah, right. It was definitely very affordable. Then we looked at the Vive. So I think we said, hey, $1,800, because I already have a really quality television that I could use as a monitor. So I was like, that cost is already out. So we were thinking about $1,500, $1,800. I could be in business, okay, which not a bad investment, and would have been. I was VR ready. I want to see the pricing on this before I get excited about it. I want to see what they come out with, because I think right now, as I've said, cost is the true prohibitor from people going to VR. It's just, we can't even say it's not games, because how many games now?
Actually,
on Steam?
At least as of right now, this will probably be over by the time this comes out. But you can actually go on Steam, and they have a bundle right now of literally all of the VR games for like $260, $270. You can buy literally every game that's been released.
And that's quite a few games.
Yeah.
No, we've already talked
like
hundreds upon hundreds of games already.
Yeah.
VR ready. So there's already a market for games. We just haven't, that was the thing. There's not a lot of games. Well, no, that's not true anymore. People have had games in development for a while, and they're dropping them daily on Steam. So I think now the problem is just getting more people to have the VR systems ready to roll with it. So,
well, and I've seen that online. Just randomly jumping through YouTube videos. You'll find guys that are doing like their own little, I guess, like crowdfunded type stuff with it. And they're all right, but I don't know. I kind of see this as just another gimmick, like the whole VR deal. I mean, that's just me just looking in, because I don't know too much about it, but like someone that doesn't really see it too much, it just seems like it's another, we're going to do this type deal,
It's actually right over there on the table.
Brandon has already jumped in. He has
really?
an HTC Vive
I was
here.
trying to figure out what that was.
over there.
Yeah, he has it ready to go. He has quite a few games. But
but my question is like, how long are they going to keep it going? Like, how long is it going to be supported? I mean, is it going to be
Forever.
I mean, are you sure? Because that's kind of what they were thinking with that. What was it with the back early '90s, that black and red crap they had going on?
The Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is like Nintendo at that point in time was way ahead of what they
way ahead of where
way
they
ahead of technology. Like they were thinking about doing VR stuff at a time when we didn't have the equipment to be able to do VR properly. Now we do. It's perfect. It's fucking awesome. In fact, after we're done with this podcast, if you want, I will hook you up. We'll get you in some raw data or some Space Pirate Trainer or something. Let you stand around, and then we'll see what you say after.
See, I mean, one of the things that's kind of crossed my mind seeing this, I've got some, I wouldn't say sketchy friends, but I've got some friends that do some illegal activities, and I would like to see where this would go with some people on
Controlled substances?
Yeah, I mean, I won't throw any out there by name, but I mean, it would be interesting because I don't know. I mean, just in the real world, from all the like stories I've heard from people, they're like, oh, do this and blah blah blah. Where that would go
Take
with
it from me. I'm gonna just tell you a story. I went in. We did the lab from Valve. We did the lab, and then there were several games in there. And when you come out of it, your brain, like, oh my god, I guess I played 2 hours straight.
Yeah.
I was in for about 2 hours straight in VR. When I came out, my brain, I was drunk.
You have to readjust.
My brain quit on me. It was like, whoa.
I guess you want to call it like VR legs. Like for me now, like having played it for probably 60 or 70 hours since I bought it at the very least, I don't have a problem. I can jump in and jump out of it. I'm fine. But the first couple of times you do it, you come out and
it takes a little readjusting.
A little readjustment. Maybe like an hour at most.
And your body has to adjust. This is a thing that I don't think we say enough about. Your body, you're going to use muscles. It will trick your mind into flexing like you're shooting a bow and arrow. So your arms will be sore. Your back will be sore. There's some things it does that I think is the future. And I think movies like Hardcore Henry and how successful it was, the first person movie, I see it. I still am waiting for that AAA title we get in VR.
Yeah, it's called Raw Data, and I've got it.
Yeah, you've really been big about Raw Data. Man, I know you are really sold on that game.
That's the game. That's the game that I keep going back to. Every time I boot up that thing, I just boot up Raw Data, and I play Raw Data for an hour or two.
Okay, I'm gonna have to finally eventually play that.
What's interesting? I mean, you got a couple different things on it. I mean, with it, I know what was about a year or two ago they were talking about that vest that you can hook up. Like there was a guy that was developing it. You can play first-person shooters, and it was supposed to give you shock when you got hit. Just a short little jolt. I mean, are they moving to more peripherals for it, or is it kind of just still in development on that side? Or
it depends on what you're looking at. Samsung actually has a set of headphones that they're working on that interact with your inner ear to trick you into thinking that you're actually moving when you're not, so that they can completely eliminate any type of nausea. So like you could actually play a game where you use the thumb pad to move around, and when you push the thumb pad forward and you start moving, you don't feel like the motion sickness from having your brain think that your body's moving but getting signals from your body that says that it's not moving. And that's what creates possible problems. The current movement mechanic in almost all of the games right now is teleporting, and teleporting doesn't give you any kind of movement sickness at all.
Yeah.
Your brain just accepts that you were here 1 second and you're there the other second because you didn't move, everything else moved. And that's cool.
Oh, gotcha.
The Samsung headphones supposedly fight that by allowing by tricking your inner ear into thinking that you're moving when you're not. So that's one peripheral that I know is coming up that's going to be pretty huge, that technology. And then there are guys who have treadmills, like you jump on the treadmill and you can walk because it's like you're standing inside of a bowl, and as you walk your feet slide down and you can walk that way. There are other people who have taken the Vive controllers and just kind of Frankenstein out of PVC piping and tubing and stuff, like guns out of them. And then there's one guy who actually took it a step further and he hooked up a speaker that provides like a kickback. So whenever you pull the trigger and the gun goes off, the sound from the gun gets pushed out through the speaker that's up against your body, and it feels like it's jerking. Like you're getting some feedback from that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. It's just going to take some time to mature. Like the VR headsets just came out this year. They've been working on them since about 2012, 2013. So they're finally starting to come out, and they're beginning to be mature. And then the rest of the platform is going to have to catch up. I think the main thing that needs to happen right now is Valve said that they want Lighthouse, which is the tracking system, those two little boxes that you see up there. They emit light that the controllers see and the headset sees, and that's how it does tracking. And they want that to be kind of like the USB peripheral for VR devices. So say somebody wants to do full body tracking and they release a suit that has a bunch of the sensors on it that can interact with those things. They haven't released the specs yet for it to open it up to allow the developers to do it yet. And I think that has to do probably with corporate shit on HTC side. But as soon as that happens and other companies can start integrating the sensors that track through the Lighthouse system, and they implement the software pipeline to allow that to happen, then we're going to start seeing peripherals that are going to flood into the market pretty easily. And then there's the Oculus side of things, which I don't even want to get into because it's so fucked.
Dude, we're just not even going to do that. But in keeping in with the whole HTC Vive thing, I think we got something huge coming down. Rahul Sadil, who was a former Xbox manager, what he did is he led the community relations for that canceled Project Spark of Xbox. Okay, he is now taking over the job as vice president of global marketing for the HTC Vive content store.
Yeah.
And so
he's going to basically be in charge of bringing companies in to produce VR titles using HTC's. HTC has $1 billion fund that they're using. Is either 100 million or a billion, I can't remember which. But basically, they're kind of doing what Oculus is doing and like bringing people in to create titles. Only they're doing it in such a way that they're not going to restrict them from being on other headsets.
Right.
So they're going to be able to develop using these funds directly for the Vive and directly for Oculus and any other VR platforms that come up. But they're trying to jumpstart the market to get more games in publishing and in releasing and out in the market.
Do you know? Okay, this is 2016. Do you know that Wall Street Journal, some economists are already projecting that VR will be a $30 billion market by 2020?
Yeah.
In 4 years.
I think it'll be a little bit higher. I mean, you look at, it kind of goes away from, like video games and stuff, but like the VA for a while, a couple years ago, was working on a whole VR type deal for PTSD guys.
Yeah.
To relive them back to the situation. That way they can figure out, hey, this is what's going on. Maybe this doesn't trigger. Maybe this triggers, and trying to get these guys to get over it. Well, I mean, it was a more or less a crash and burn project. From what I'd seen, a lot of guys, they couldn't handle it. So I mean, there's benefits I think outside of just entertainment, but if the medical community picks it up, dude, I mean, you can push to where, all right, cool, this guy can't walk. Maybe we can trick his mind into making these muscles kind of start to work more. I mean, there's possibilities to it. I don't know if they will do it, but more or less kind of when.
There are a lot of medical studies that are going on right now. There's ones that are trying to help people with social anxiety disorder. They have like this, the one that I was reading about, they're using the HTC Vive because it has room scale. And they're simulating the inside of a packed train car, like somebody getting on a tram to go downtown or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're putting the person in that situation to try to help them to, understand that it's okay. You can get over this. You can get through it.
Yeah.
That way they can rehabilitate them so that they can actually do these things in real life. There is also experimentation with just other things. Like there's this weird one that's been going around where they have a wooden plank, and at the end of the wooden plank, there's a cat doll. And when you go inside the headset, you're standing inside of a building, and the plank is out over a large drop, and the cat's at the end of the plank, and you have to walk down the plank and get the cat and bring it back. And so they're trying to see how they can help people get over their fear of heights with that.
Huh.
Yeah. So there's a lot of medical applications for it, and there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff going on. One of the things that's really going to help is this story here, which is about foveated rendering. So the fovea is the part of the eye that actually can see. And as you get towards your outer peripheral vision, everything that's in your peripheral vision is kind of blurred in comparison to what you're actually looking at, which is coming in through the center of your eye. So foveated rendering is they put a camera inside the headset to watch your eye movement, and then based on your eye movement, they know where you're looking at in the scene, and then they render that at the sharpest that they can render it, and then everything going out from there gets blurrier and less detailed. And so since they're only having to really worry about making what's in the center of the fovea completely and utterly realistically rendered, it speeds everything up, rendering up. So they can have more detailed scenes without necessarily having to have more processing horsepower.
Right.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of, and then NVIDIA has also done, they have a technology that allows them to render both eyes at the same time, what both eyes are seeing. So right now, standard rendering is render left eye, render right eye, render left eye, render right eye. This technology is allowing them to render both eyes at the same time, so it's simultaneous multiprocessing is what they're calling it. I think it's called SMP or something
And
along
that's
those
where
lines.
those Titan X cameras are or the graphic cards are starting to come into play.
Well, I mean, anything that's from the GP 100, 102, 104 line that has that built into it because it's a part of the hardware. But yeah, there's definitely a bunch of interesting stuff that's happening with VR, especially this thing. The lab is literally the highest rated game on all of Steam.
Which I saw this. In which we were just talking about it. The lab is free.
Yeah.
It is a freaking amazing time. I mean, seriously, if you can get into this game and it's the free VR test from Valve, and it is the greatest time I've ever had in VR. And what cracks me up about it is when you look at it, the picture that it shows is for Longbow, which is one of the games that, as you know, I spent in my hours in the game. That was the one that I did not want to quit playing. I really got into it and had a blast with it. So that's kind of cool. So, I mean, to date, like, what did it say? 99% of the game's 717 reviews are positive. Mm-hmm. So 717 people, which is a lot on Steam to come in on one game, especially a free game. 99% of the people out of that 717 say freaking amazing.
And 99% of 717 reviews of a VR title, which that says a lot because it's a VR only title.
Right.
There are other titles who probably have more reviews, like thousands upon thousands of more reviews, but they're not a VR title, which is limited to a very small subset of the PC community. Mm-hmm. So,
and this is the thing. It's the top rated game, but it beat out Portal and Portal 2, mm-hmm. which are, I mean, let's just be honest. Those are classics in our industry. Okay. Video game fans love those two games. Let's go ahead. I mean, let's keep it moving. We got some
I'll
some
keep
video
you
games.
stuck on this because I'll start jumping into the anime world of that because Overlord and so on and so forth.
Oh,
VR.
my God. Yeah,
so we won't even get into that.
Yeah,
we'll move.
That's a whole nother show we can do one day. We've been talking about this one, and you kind of sent this to me one day, and you were telling me that the Walking Dead creator was adapting Chronicles of Amber for TV.
Yeah. Chronicles of Amber is kind of a weird set of books. They're like 1970s release
Mm-hmm.
date books, very hippie culture inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of things that seem like they're almost like an acid trip. Like he's the main character is a prince of Amber, which
Mm-hmm.
is an alternate reality from Earth where
Right.
magic and stuff happens, and it's almost like it's a fantasy, swords and sorcery, swordplay world.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can also cross over into the real world on our end of things.
Right.
So it should be pretty interesting. A friend of mine, Gareth, turned me onto these books a long time ago. I got through the first book. I haven't read the rest of them. It was just, I can see it being really, really good for a visual thing, but the books are kind of really dense.
Right.
But they're good. I mean, definitely read them if you have the time.
And when we say the Walking Dead creator, I should go ahead and say this. I'm talking about the creator, Robert Kirkman. So a lot of people don't know that. We're talking about the guy that created the comic book, Robert Kirkman, and his Skybound Entertainment banner partner, Dave Albert. And they are the guys that are looking at adapting this. And so it's definitely, anytime Kirkman gets involved in something, I think it catches people's attention now just because of how successful Walking Dead is. So it's kind of cool. Anytime you see his name attached to a project, people want to kind of get behind it. Also, while we're on the Walking Dead subject, one of my favorite games, I've never hid the fact that, you know, as a console player, Telltale Games makes the Walking Dead series, which has won massive amount of awards. It is probably it's won a Game of the Year a couple times. It's a really great series, and it told the story of this young girl named Clementine, who each game we kind of go through Clementine's life as she aged up from being a little girl at 8 all the way through this zombie apocalypse. And it's been 3 years since The Walking Dead season 2 video game, and there was an E3 teaser, but Telltale didn't really say anything, and now it's official. We are getting a season 3, and we're gonna get a season 3, and we're gonna get Clementine's story continued. I am uber excited about this. I can't even tell you how happy I am about this. So it's kind of cool to see that she's coming in and that we're going to get some more of the game. Still not a lot. I've seen some pictures. I haven't really seen a trailer or anything that's given us any real detail, man. So we're going to just see what happens with that. Now, also, have you seen this whole thing about Konami and Pez?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I don't think that's enough to really draw anybody to play Pez.
That's how... Okay, so here's the deal. So Konami just signed a 3-year partnership with FC Barcelona that will give them extensive access to the club stars and their likeness. And it'll be on their mobile titles and all the related stuff that's PES related. And when we say PES, we're talking Pro Evolution Soccer, which only has one rival in the European football video game department.
I don't know. I kind of think it has two.
You think it has two big rivals when it comes to
Rocket League?
Rocket League is massive, but not European football. But it is huge. Okay, it is definitely huge. If we're going soccer games, Rocket League is up there. And I think that's been the thing. One game has all the licenses.
Yeah.
Connected with the FIFA brand.
Yeah.
And Pez has always kind of been like, it's like that cousin that you know is in the family, but he's not as cool as your other cousin.
I just because it's Konami, it's gonna still be meh. I mean, as Jim Sterling says, fuck Konami.
Yeah, okay.
Seriously, fuck Konami.
I just saw it. I thought it was interesting that they were able to kind of wrangle that kind of a deal with FC Barcelona, and they, there's a trailer for PES 2017 now, and the FC Barcelona is featured very prominently in it. And we know it's not an exclusive deal, but I wish I could see the numbers that are related to what they had to pay to get that. I really would like to know. But let's keep it moving. Let's talk some geek films. You want to do that real quick?
Sure.
This one here, Anton Yelchin, who recently passed away. Very sad death. Known for the Star Trek, the reboot franchise, was also one of my favorite movies, The Green Room. They came out this week and they said that they're not going to recast him. And I guess J.J. Abrams said it. They're not recasting his role in the new Star Trek franchise. Have they? Other than all I heard about it was that they're not going to recast him. Didn't hear anything else. Yeah. So we're bringing in a new character. What are we doing? Because there's not going to be a checkoff anymore.
They don't know. It's still quote unquote too early to announce the decision on what they're going to do with it. So I would imagine they're probably just going to bring in another character. They're probably going to, have, I guess, probably a funeral scene like they did for Spock back in the old Star Trek days when they were the main cast that was in the movies, when Spock died and they had the mock funeral for him and they sent him off.
Right.
Probably going to do something similar in the next movie, probably at the beginning of the film or something like that. Because they can't really, have him die in mid-movie or anything. And this movie's obviously already finished and in the can, so they can't change that one. So I'd imagine it's going to be like start of the film, something happened, he had died, and then we say our goodbyes to him, and they probably introduce a new character.
All right. Yeah, man, it's still... I respect them for not recasting the role, but, man, at the same time, this new reboot's really good. J.J. Abrams really seems to have his finger on the pulse of making Star Trek not only cerebral, but really freaking action-packed, and it's been really good.
I'm not going to say that I hated the new films. They're not Star Trek films. At least the first two were not. They are action-adventure films that are more akin to Star Wars than they are to Star Trek. From what I've heard, the third one finally does actually put the exploration and the science back into the film the way that it needs to be. But I haven't seen it yet.
This is one that you and I have been wrestling about. It's not that we didn't want to see it. We just haven't been able to make time to go watch it yet, I think has been our big deal. And it's on my list of things to do. I just haven't had time to just go sit down and watch this one. But definitely, we'll get that one in there, and when we do, we'll come back and talk about this. I want to kind of talk some more about it. I really think we need to discuss this whole thing about the new Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
Because it's a hot button topic, but nobody's really talking about it. But we will get into that. Luke Besson. Luke Besson is a...
he really screwed up, man. What's funny is...
well, he had a high and a low in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. If he originally had just gone to John Carpenter and said, look, I want to redo Escape from New York in space, and actually been not condescending about it, John Carpenter said he would have given him the property and said, here, do it. But instead, he was a dick. And John Carpenter didn't like that. And since John Carpenter didn't like that, he took him to court. And not only has this already... So what happened was Luke Besson made a film in 2012 called Lockout, which is essentially Escape from New York in space.
Right.
The plot line and even some of the scenes are like
scene for scene remakes.
Like carbon copy, scene for scene remakes. So instead of going to New York to free the president's daughter, he's going to space to free the president's daughter. Both of them are prisons that are sort of supposed to be inescapable. And to the point of he's also supposed to recover these documents, and he recovers the documents but doesn't hand them over at the end of the film like he's supposed to. So John Carpenter sued him. John Carpenter won. I think the original settlement was only going to be for 85,000 euros. Luke Besson, after he lost the first ruling, he appealed, and it went from 8,500 euros or 85,000 euros to 450,000 euros.
Okay, now let's be fair. Carpenter was going for $2 million.
Yeah,
he was trying to get him for $2 million. Luke probably should have just realized, if we watch these films side by side, I'm busted.
Yeah.
But he wanted to fight it, wanted to be a dick about it. And I'm just learning something important. Maybe being a dick to John Carpenter is not great for your career.
No, not at all.
Just going to say, maybe that's not the smartest thing you could have done. But it sucked. He lost. He's out of 450,000 euros. The court had so many examples. What's funny about this is the court pulled fan examples where fans, they went to fans, Twitter, social media. Fans are like, is this me or is this the same scene? And they were actually looking for stuff on social media like that. And then those were the things that they played in court to bust him.
Yeah.
This person, Mike G, the pussy killer from New York City, said that this scene and this scene were the same. And they played those scenes and it was the same. So it was really a bad week for him. So, but on the flip side, Luke Besson has a lot of excitement coming about his new film, which was at Comic-Con, in fact. So, what was it? The Valerian? Is that the name of the movie?
I think it's just called Valerian.
All right. And a lot of people don't know this. Luke Besson did The Fifth Element. Okay. So, which, as we know, one of my favorite films of all time.
Dude, that's one of my top 10s for sure.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's in my top 10 films. When they say 10 films that you could be stuck on an island with for a year, give me that film. It will get watched.
And you know what?
Several times that year.
This is the thing. The Fifth Element, there are elements in that film, no pun intended, that have been directly ripped out of heavy metal. The heavy metal film, the cabbie looks almost exactly like
The City with the floating
city,
cars and the
the fact that the car doesn't have wheels, it just floats. A mysterious girl drops into his cab and becomes a fare. You can obviously see that Luke Besson loves to pull things from other creators and try to make them his own.
Oh yeah.
And that's probably where he really fucked up.
Well, you can only do it so many times before people catch on to you and start busting you. But this one, I think it's called. Hold on, I'm pulling it. Oh, Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, which the name sounds kind of pretentious, but basically this trailer drummed up some buzz. Now, here's what kills me: this project is a passion project, a $180 million price tag passion project for him.
Jeez.
So this movie would have to do great. It's going to have to be one of the greatest sci-fi epics ever because, as we know, in Hollywood, you have to make double what you put into it to be successful. So that means already this film's going to have to gross $360 million. It's going to have to do
That's on the low
$360
side.
million. Huh?
And that's on the low side.
That's on the low side. That's just for it to be profitable. It has to do $360 million. So that's we're asking a film that's basically a new IP to come in and do Avengers money.
Yeah, and if you look at it, like Jupiter Rising from was it the Cone? No, not the Cone. Jupiter Rising was made by the same people who made The Matrix.
Yeah.
Brand new IP property, failed miserably at the box office.
The Divergent series has not done that well
Divergent is
it's
at least
making money, but it's not getting the greatest of reviews.
The Divergent series is at least based on books.
Right.
Jupiter Rising had no prior property, and I don't think this does either. It's a completely brand new IP from the ground up.
Well, here's what it is. It's based on a long-running French comic book series that's not well known outside of Europe.
Well, that makes sense then. Never mind.
So it's part espionage adventure, part love story, and like Mr. and Mrs. Smith in space, which that sounds amazing. That's a great gumbo of stuff to put together to make a movie. But you're also asking me to get $360 million out of a new IP, and it better be the best damn directed film, which gets the most amazing word of mouth. I don't know. I don't know about this one. I do know that Rihanna and Ethan Hawke are in it. Like, I think she plays a nightclub singer on one of the planets. I'm not quite sure about this yet.
So let's see. That's Valerian.
Yep. And we got one last story.
Oh, I love this story. So Pokemon Go players have been urged not to venture into the Fujikama disaster zone.
Which you would think nobody would have to tell you that.
If I could remotely drop lures, like 100 lures into the fucking disaster zone, I would totally do it just to see if people go out there.
Oh, they would. They
Bro,
absolutely would.
You drop a lure, Pokemon show up, people show up to the lure.
And we just let natural selection do the rest.
Yeah.
But the fact that...
I got cancer, but at least I got that Pikachu.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, there was an update on the game. We just know the update just went live just yesterday, Friday or Saturday for some people. And it's inside the game now where it tells you, hey, don't trespass. Like, there are warnings in the game when you start it up. Don't be caught on private property. Don't be trespassing. Don't go into disaster areas.
Are they marking this on the map, or is it just a warning? Like, are they actually
Like,
putting
it's
in
in the
certain areas?
game now.
Screen warnings while it's loading.
Gotcha.
It pops up. What I think really needs to happen is that the company, Niantic, I don't know how the hell you want to say their name, but what they need to start doing is actually going in and editing their maps. Like, they need to go in and do the cleanup on the maps to, like, make zones, just mark off the Futuricama exclusion zone, make sure that nothing from the game can ever be populated in that area. They're going to have to start doing this curtailing from their end. They can't just put up a warning screen and expect everybody to fucking follow it.
That's the new thing, is that they're setting up something now, and that was just announced, and I'll bring you the story next week. But they have announced that they're now working with places that don't want to be on there, because we just covered this story where the Holocaust Museum...
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but when I heard that, I thought it was a joke, and then
we were so
legitimately
serious.
were telling me that, and I was like,
you could catch gas Pokemon in the Holocaust
which is
Museum.
terrible. I mean, okay, so part of the thing is, like, people are saying, like, oh, it was an
Catching
accident.
gas
I was
leaks.
like, dude, that has to be coded. There is some sick dude on that development team that was like, this is a good idea, I'm going to do that. Because, come on, man, it can't just be randomly generated.
Okay,
I
I'm gonna tell you,
honestly do not
I would have
believe
been
that.
upset, like Jinx. You know, we always talk about Jinx. looks like a black-faced Pokemon with big red lips and a blonde wig. So it kind of, looks like Nicki Minaj a little. And that was, if all of a sudden they were like, hey, you can catch Jinx. Like, there's a Jinx breeding ground inside the African American Slave Museum. I'd be like, no, nigga, we gotta fight. I gotta punch somebody in their face behind this now. So, I understand people getting sensitive about some of the places where you were catching stuff. Now, we know here in Austin, there's a adult bookstore called Dreamers that's off of Highway 35. That we do know there's a Pokestop in there. We have not gone in there to try to catch anything.
A Pokestop?
Yeah, that's Pokemoms. But there is a Pokestop there, and I was just like, this is just so wrong. And that's when I knew this is not a game for kids, because no kid is going into that Pokestop. But I'm not going to lie. I have extra lures, and I have thought about going into their adult bookstore and dropping a lure just to see who's going to show up.
I'm somewhat oddly okay with that.
I do. I just want to drop a lure in an adult bookstore and see who shows up.
Well, it's weird because, like, if you look at the map, I don't play the game. I have all my friends play it. Every single one of my friends is playing it. And, like, if you look at the map, there's certain places where on Google Maps it's saying, hey, look, there's a lake right here. Go catch water Pokemon. But it's not a lake. It's a dry, like, well, I'm from Amarillo, so, like,
we have a dry lake bed.
There's that dry lake bed. Well, I play airsoft out there. And so out there, you can get away with going out there and getting water Pokemon because it's considered a lake and there's nothing there. You may get shot, even though that's kind of the fun part about having the Pokemon people show up. But that's a whole nother side note.
Right, yeah.
But, dude, it's crazy because there's people running all over town in random places. Like, honestly, there's some places children shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Especially at like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still happening. And I'm surprised there hasn't been more craziness going on with it. But, that's just a personal opinion. I'm surprised there's not more kidnappings and fights and all kinds of other stuff. But, because human nature would just suck in general. But
well, we've seen some craziness so far. The gassy Pokemons in the Holocaust Museum. In New Zealand, they had the one location that turned out to be a Hells Angels club.
Oh, yeah.
Then you had the police station that was in New Zealand as well as in Australia.
Yeah.
That was a Pokestop.
You had the girl who found the dead guy in the fucking river.
That little, that thing, she found that. So, but the Japanese government, or at least the city government of Nagasaki, having to come out and say, stay away from the nuclear disaster site.
Well, you kind of figured they would know that by now. And I hate to say it, it's already happened once with intention, but why? What through your brain is like, I'm going to risk cancer for something that's not real?
You gotta catch them all, bro.
Yeah, I'm cool with catching them all. That's awesome. I'm not down.
Can I not catch them somewhere where I don't have to risk cancer? That's all I'm saying.
Think about it. How many people have tried to go out to like the exclusion zone of Chernobyl? You know what I mean?
People go out to the Chernobyl exclusion zone.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, without the game, I get that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about within the game. How many people are trying to go out there?
I think Pokemon Go has been released in Russia yet.
Is it not? Okay. I didn't know if this was like a global thing because I don't follow
It's pretty
it.
global, but I don't know if it's hit them.
I don't think it's hit them.
But you know what? Here's my thing, though. I'm not going to lie. I would go into a clan rally for a Mewtwo. I would light the cross on fire for them for a Mewtwo.
So long as you got the right dress up, they're not going to hurt you or anything. They won't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about I'd go out there butt naked, black ass hanging out to get that Mewtwo and tell them to kiss my dick once I had it, set the cross on fire and take off running. Bye, Billy Bob. I'm just running.
See, for some reason, the first thing that popped in my head was like that Dave Chappelle episode.
Oh, dude, you don't think I wouldn't be Clayton Bixby to get a Mewtwo?
Dude, I'm telling you, man, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
I would say some racist shit about black people, have my Mewtwo, and everybody be like, you're a disgrace. Whatever. You can't take this gem from me. I got Mewtwo, motherfucker. I would do that to people. I don't care. I would do that. That's how much I love the game. So I'll do what I got to do to catch them all. I'm just not going to risk cancer.
How many have you caught so far?
I'm 457 of the 500 you can catch for
457.
I've caught 457.
Do you work?
I actually work way too much lately. Because you got to pay for the damn data to catch 457 Pokemon. That's a lot of data. I spend a lot of time at work. This week, I did not turn the app on. Okay, we turned it on that night. We did our special. We went out to eat with a bunch of friends, and I caught a Growlithe in the restaurant. And I left 2 grown men at a table just so I could go catch this damn Pokemon.
Oh no, I was hearing on your last podcast about how you were out in the middle of 4th Street trying to catch this thing.
I did catch one on 4th Street one time. So yeah, it was like I was downtown. I was hosting it was a comedy show. I was the host. I introduced the band. I opened the app while the band started playing. I talked to the bartender and told him, "Hey, I gotta go handle something, family emergency." I ran from 5th Street to 4th Street to go catch this damn thing. And I got a Jigglypuff, and I was like, they can jiggle these nuts. I did not even know what the band playing sounded like. I got a Jigglypuff. But when I looked up, I was in the middle of the freaking street. Like, I kind of knew I was near the street. I just didn't realize how much I was in the street. Like, I was looking up. I wouldn't be in a total dumbass. Like, I'm walking across cars just staring at my phone. But I just looked, I kind of looked up and said, okay, I'm on 4th Street. And then I got into the battle with this stupid thing, and I kept trying to edge closer to catch it. And then all of a sudden, once I finally caught him, I looked up and realized, hey, bro, you're kind of in the middle of 4th Street on a Wednesday night. This is Hump Wednesday. There's a lot of traffic at bars on Wednesday night downtown Austin. You're in the middle of 4th Street. You kind of look like a loon. How about you back away and get back to where
It's
you're
okay,
supposed
man.
to be
If
hosting?
you just kind of hang out there, it'd be a GTA recreation. So I mean, it's all right.
Bro, it's wasted. That's what almost happened. All right, man. Dude, Reid, we've had a blast with you on the show, man.
no,
This
I've
has
had
been a lot
fun,
of fun. We're gonna hit you up with a couple of questions, man. I'm gonna ask you some questions.
You didn't submit these in writing first.
No, you just first answer that comes to your mind.
Oh, jeez.
So, if you could be a superhero, who would you be?
Probably Deadpool. Just because I'm a smartass, anyways. But I haven't even seen the movie yet. Everybody had this huge thing about
How
it.
did you not see the Deadpool
Dude,
movie?
it sucks because, the very little bit I do know about comic books and stuff, the ones that I do know, I'm like, oh, I kind of like those. And then they make a movie about it. I'm like, I don't like these anymore because everybody's like, oh, Deadpool or oh, Wolverine. I'm like, dude, you just ruined everything that was fun for me. Something that I kind of had a
That
little
you
bit of an
actually did
interest
like,
in.
yeah.
Now it's cool for everybody. So I'm like, oh, yeah.
God
That's
damn
something.
hipsters.
All right. So let me
Yes.
ask you this.
Exactly.
So we know you would be Deadpool, PS3, 360, PC.
Man, that's hard because when I had my PS3, I loved playing my PS3, but since I don't have it anymore, my computer sucks in a sense. So all I can really play is like Red Crucible off of Steam because it's free, and it's like, dude, it's not a terrible game, but I mean it's all right. But I get way too into it and way too angry, and I've already broke how would you use it? Mice, or would it be 2 mouse? I mean, what would you use plural for that?
2 different mice.
Yes, there we go. I'll go with that.
Behind that game.
Yeah, dude, and it's not like it's a super competitive game, but I take it way too serious sometimes, so I'll stop playing. So, the only thing I really play, since I don't have a mouse anymore, I used to play, what's that game? It's the RTS.
Command and Conquer?
Like that, World War II, Company of Heroes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was really into Company of Heroes for a while, but, I mean, that's, I don't know. I guess PC right now, just because that's really the only thing I have.
All right.
So
And now, I know you, we were talking the other day, you got a company, right?
Yeah.
For your documentary filmmaking. What's the name of the company?
Makeway Media.
Makeway Media.
Yeah.
Okay, now where can people reach you? Are you on social media?
Yeah, man. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can email me. Those are really about the only ways to get a hold of me.
So what's your Instagram?
Instagram is TKCRen.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Facebook, you can just find me under Reid W Griffin at Amarillo.
Okay, Reid W Griffin out of Amarillo,
Yeah.
TKC Ren. Man, dude, it was cool having you in the studio, coming down and sharing with us. Any projects you're working on right now?
I'm working on a short documentary right now on milsim aspect of airsoft. To break it down easiest is why a bunch of guys dress up in camouflage to go play war over the weekend or over a couple days in the woods with fake guns and stuff, and how do guys cope with PTSD playing. There's a lot of guys that have PTSD that play this, and it kind of helps them.
We're talking military simulation airsoft
Yeah,
gun war.
yeah.
So they have to play like real military war versions.
Yeah, I mean, you can go on a weekend and play somewhere. It's just average, kind of like paintball. But there's guys that take it to another level of like, the full military gear, like plate carriers, magazines. They make their guns. Like there's guys I know that have spent just on a site, like EOTech. They spend like $500-$600 on a site just for an airsoft gun. You can spend equally as much money on airsoft as you do in real life on like real steel AR-15s.
Wow.
Yeah, because all the stuff's interchangeable. I mean, it's all, you can put them back and forth. I mean, I started out just doing pictures and video, and then I kind of ended up started playing more and more. And it's interesting, man. It's a really interesting community. It's real close, because there's not a lot of people across the country that play,
Right.
The milsim side. I mean, you have like about a month ago or so, there was an event up in Oklahoma. There was like 600 people, which is outrageous. That's a lot of freaking people on one field.
This is something that I don't think Brandon and I would do.
I would do it, but I would probably die in the attempt.
First of all, you're asking me to run and to relive the military and to spend $600 on a site for an airsoft gun.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure somebody in my family would kill me over if I did
Probably.
that. So yeah, these are things that it just sounds dangerous. I'm not sure if I need to be in this. Now, if I win the lottery, I'm all in. I'm doing some crazy stuff. I'm going to catch a Mewtwo at a Klan rally, and I'm going all hardcore military sim airsoft, man. Once you finish the film, man, would you like to come back, maybe promote the film with us? Once
Yeah,
you're done with
dude,
it?
for sure, man. I definitely would. I'm always down for other types of stories. I'm always looking for something. I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't say like on the professional level of this is all I do for money. I mean, I wish it was, but it's. There's another guy I was talking to at the Comic-Con down in Amarillo last week. He does this stuff full time, but he doesn't make that much money off of it, and it's hard. I mean, you're spending all your money on gear all the time, then trying to work a full-time job, and then try to bounce between a story, and especially like with the one I'm doing, I'm bouncing all over the Midwest. Like in September, I'm going up to Camp Guernsey in Wyoming. Well, from Amarillo, that's like 8-9 hour drive.
Right.
So I mean, that's all out of pocket. Nobody's paying for that. It's not supported by anybody. That's all me.
So this is a
it's
passion
hard.
project film for you.
Yeah, and I hope it turns out like I see it in my head, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping that's where it goes. But
Once you're finished with it, man, definitely come back and join us on the show so we can talk about it.
yeah,
okay?
for sure.
All right, well, man, guys, once again, this has been a great show. I feel like we've had a lot of fun. We put a lot of information out. We ran a little long today, but it was worth it. I felt like we really got a lot of stuff out, and we're going to get back on the regular schedule again. Reid, it was truly a pleasure having you in here.
Thanks. Yeah, it was fun.
Brandon, brother, always fun to get with you every week. We do this, man, and talk crazy. Any big things coming up for you lately, man? Anything new?
Not really. Same old, same old. Just working.
You've been doing a lot of the
Podcasting.
Master Pancake thing lately, though.
Yeah, I'm going to later tonight. They're doing Dune, the 1984 release of Dune, and they're gonna have Chani, the actress that played Chani.
Oh, she's going to be there with him?
She's gonna be there. I don't know if she's gonna be like making fun of the film, but I think she's definitely gonna sit down and do like a little QA or something afterwards. So that's gonna be fun.
Oh, that may be interesting.
I think a little later today we're gonna. People that I'm going with are going to come over and we're going to do some VR stuff for a little while. Then we're going to head out and do that. So
Okay, cool, man. So you got some stuff going on, man. Man, look, I try to be a national spokesperson for Verizon. I try to get that's pretty much the biggest thing that's happened to me lately. I tried out for a commercial. But other than that, we're still going to be here next week. We're going to still be putting it down, still doing the show. Once again, we thank all you guys for listening. Thank you for joining us. You can always find Brandon and I on our Twitter pages, at Thighside, at Coach Silky, and you can always follow our team page, at Go Team Lift. And we always thank you for listening to the show. Much love to you. Peace. Thanks for listening to the Team Lift Podcast with your hosts, Brendan Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Join us again next week as we discuss more topics from geek culture. Be sure to follow us on our Twitter page, at Go Team Lift, as well as our personal pages, at Coach Silky and at Thighside. You can direct questions and comments to us on our Twitter page, as well as find links to all of our social media outlets. Thank you for listening. See you again next week.